Alright, so I'm going to be showing how to open up and disassemble this HP EliteBook 840 G6. So I just did a G5 and it looks pretty much the same, but I'm going to do this anyways just in case it's different. I did notice there's another stick of RAM in there. But anyways, we're going to use a PH1 or JIS1 screwdriver and just undo all the screws here. The screws are attached to the panel. They have some washers that hold the screws in place and keep them from coming out, but just undo all of them. So there's 3 here, 2 here, there's 1 in the center here, and then there's 2 in the front here. Okay, so it's just like the G5. Okay. Once you undo all those screws, what you want to do, open up the computer and then avoid pressing on the trackpad, but get your fingernails. The easiest way I found is I use my fingernails in the little seam here, and then I push with my fingernails on the sides next to the trackpad. So just like this. It's easier if I have it up like this, but then it's harder to show this in camera. But just like this, you pull on it like this, and here you can see the bottom pops out. Right? Once you get that bottom to pop out, you just pull the bottom cover up and pull the rest of this down, just like that, and the cover just comes out easily, just like this. Okay, I already cleaned out some of the dust, but I'm going to completely disassemble this to do a thorough cleaning. Okay, so just like with the other one, the battery's right there, and they also do just use a T8 screwdriver for those battery screws. So I'm going to remove the battery screws first. Okay, this time I'm going to do it so that it's a little bit easier by removing the battery screws first. That way I have more slack to pull up the battery connector. The battery model number on this is SS03XL, or there's the HP spare part model number 933321-855. You can check your battery to make sure the model's the same, but it should match. Alright, once you do that, you can lift this up, and then the bottom kind of slides out. Now that we got that, I'm going to use the wings of the battery connector here. Okay, let me actually zoom in a bit so you can see better. Okay, I just take the wings, I use my fingernails there, and I kind of just work the wings side to side like this, and it slowly walks the connector out, just like this. So if you don't have fingernails, you can let them grow out, or if you don't want to use fingernails, you can use whatever tools you can that work. Alright, there we go. Disconnected that. Let's zoom out. And then we just lift the battery out and take it out. Alright, if there's dust on it, you can clean that off as well. Okay, we'll set the battery aside. Let me zoom back out. Okay, so the type of RAM here is, let's see here, you just pull these tabs to the side. The stick of RAM will pop up like that, and then you can pull the stick of RAM out like this. 8 gigs PC4 3200. Alright, so that's the RAM. We're going to leave that on the board. Let's see what this RAM, if it's the same. They're 2 different ones. This is Crucial RAM, the brand, 8 gigs DDR4 2666. So you can use either of those types of RAM. Just make sure it's DDR4. Okay. Then we got the SSD here. It's also, this one is a M.2 SATA SSD. I don't remember if the other one was a NVMe. If it was, then you can use NVMe, but this looks like a SATA. Let's see if it's listed here. Oh, this is NVMe. Okay, so you can use PCIe NVMe SSDs. I don't know why they use this kind of slot, but to remove it, it's very simple. I'm going to remove it, see if I need to clean some dust off of it, but most likely I don't need to. There's just the one screw. The SSD pops up like that, and then you just pull it back like this. You can kind of wiggle it to help get it out. And there we go. So this SSD it's pretty crazy. It's all fitting on this one little square underneath the sticker because this board is completely flat. There's nothing on it. Okay, so I'm going to put this back in. Okay. One thing I forgot to mention, after removing the battery, you do want to press and hold the power button for about 10 to 15 seconds while the screen is open. All right, so just do that. Excuse me. Okay, so let's see. I think this is exactly like the other one. So again, I'm gonna take a marker and then I'm gonna mark where I removed the screws. First, I'm gonna actually remove this black plastic panel on the side here because there is a hidden screw under there. So we are gonna remove this just like last time. Okay. 3, 4. So there's 6 screws holding this black plastic bracket in place. I'm not sure why they use this plastic bracket here, but maybe it's to support the cover. Okay, once we get that, we kind of have to like work this and rotate it kind of weird to unlatch it. So you kind of have to lift this, kind of lift it from the back. Why is it stuck? It's not moving at all. Okay, so this side's working. I'm sliding it, lifting it, and sliding it over to the left a little. Okay, I need to kind of raise this up so I can lift this and remove it. I might just remove the SSD completely because it's in the way and I don't want to put too much pressure on that and then damage it. So I'm going to remove the SSD and leave it out for now. Okay. Alright, so there we go. Just rotate this, push it over to the left, and there we go. Got that plastic bracket off. Now we're going to remove the screw that was hidden under there. Okay. And I'm going to start marking down where I took these screws from so I can put them back. So there's that one there. Alright, this is just like the G5 model. Let's actually start disconnecting all of this. There's the CMOS or the BIOS battery connector here. Just get the wings, wiggle it, keep wiggling it as you pull it. And there you go, it comes out just like that. Then you got this connector, flip that little latch up, pull this out. This one's different. I don't know what this connector is for. I'll find out when I look underneath the board. But flip that latch up and then pull that connector out. Oh, the fingerprint sensor, I see it, it's under there. Okay. Lift up that latch, pull this cable out. You want to be careful with these cables because they are held down with adhesive. There's not much slack to pull on them and you don't want to accidentally damage these cables. Okay, let's remove this screw down here. Alright, I'm gonna mark that as well. Looks like they put little arrows in circles pointing to where these screws came from. So the ones with arrows with circles kind of tell you where to put them back, but either way I still like to mark it so it's easier for me to know that I just recently took that screw out. And then there's the screw here for the keyboard. They label it KB, so you know it's for holding the keyboard in place. Okay. But again, this looks exactly like the G5 that I just did. And then here there's another screw with the circle in it. Okay. Again, make sure that after removing the battery, you press and hold the power button before you touch these cables. That's very important. We're going to pull up the LCD and the touchscreen connectors here. So these connectors, they're usually really hard. Like I'm pulling it pretty hard and it doesn't want to come out. So I almost always have to use my fingernail underneath. You can use a plastic pry tool and then I just pry up one side and that makes it easy to remove. So same thing with the other one. Grab the little pull tab and then I'm gonna pry it up while I kind of pull on that tab if I can. There we go. Then they have this adhesive kind of holding it down, just like on the other one. Be very careful. You don't want to crease these cables or bend them too much. If you damage them, then your screen won't work. Okay. All right, remove this one screw here. Mark that as well. I'm getting a bunch of people messaging and calling me right now, but I need to finish this video. Flip up this little latch, disconnect the power button connector. Okay. All right. And then remove this other keyboard screw here. That's a little interesting. This one doesn't have the piece of tape covering the fan. What do you call the fan connector? Right, we're going to remove the two screws holding the fan. If it's like the other one, these screws will actually stay connected to the fan. Yep. So if this is like the other one, we can actually we can't remove the fan until we take the keyboard out first. Then, like the other one, lift the heatsink up slightly and flip this white latch up. Okay, just like that. So that way later we can disconnect that. We'll flip this latch up and disconnect this cable here for this card reader and the trackpad and everything. Okay. And I don't remember what this connector is for. I think there's like two halves of the trackpad that respond to it. So, okay. So I think that's everything. Now we have to remove the keyboard. Okay. Oh, let's remove the wireless card antennas here. So on the tail, just lift it up just like that. And then we got the speaker connector here. There's not much slack here for the speaker connector, so you have to be careful. Or there is, but I guess they tucked it kind of out of the way. So there we go. Then remove the speaker connector. I'm going to flip it over so it's easier for me to access. Alright, just like this, and kind of just work that connector. There we go. Right, I'm going to take these antennas and wires out so they're easier to maneuver around when I take the board out. Alright, we're going to flip this over and we're going to remove the keyboard. So I'm assuming it's like the other one. Basically have the keyboard facing up, and then we need a thin metal pry tool. What did I do with that? Okay. So get a thin metal pry tool, and then towards the top you kind of have to use the tool to kind of feel around. Usually it helps to kind of start towards the middle, and then you'll feel like it sinks in, and then you know like where it holds up the tool, that's where you know there's a clip. That's where you kind of wiggle the thin tool back and forth, and then you go across. You'll feel it hit another thing. Go over that bump and then wiggle the tool over there. Same thing, and wiggle the tool over there and then pop it up. Alright, and then just work your way back over. Find it again, the clips, wiggle it and pop it up. And just keep going back and forth until we get all these clips. Once they're all released, then the keyboard will allow itself to kind of pop up more. So there we go. We're getting all these clips out. Okay, once you're getting almost all the clips out, you got to try and get underneath the keyboard to lift it up. Alright, just like this. And then now while you're lifting it up, when you pry these last few clips, it'll come out a lot easier, just like this. Okay. And if it's stuck, you just have to keep working it. It kind of sometimes will get caught. There we go. All right, and then usually to get the side ones out, if they don't come out, you kind of have to flex the middle up and the sides down. And then after you get all those clips out, you can slide the keyboard slightly upwards or away from you. Tip this forward, and then we're going to have to unlatch these. So the keyboard connector, flip that latch up. Okay, pull that cable out. I know my head's getting in the way, just like before. Flip up that latch on this one. It looks like this keyboard doesn't have the backlight connector, so peel up this adhesive and then pull that back. There's adhesive stuck to this cable, so peel that away as well. Be careful not to crease this cable. You don't want to damage it. This is for the track point, the little mouse button thingy in the middle. Okay, then we're just going to stick this back down. I don't know why they have this here, but whatever. Okay, and then we'll set the keyboard aside. Right, now we're going to remove all the screws underneath holding the keyboard in place, or the top panel. Okay, so we're just going to remove all these screws. Looks to be about the same as the G5. I don't see too much different with this model. Okay, remove those two screws, then remove these two down here. Even the screw layout, it seems to be about the same, so I don't know why this is G4, G5, and or this is G6 and the other one's G5. They seem like the same. Maybe it's like newer processor, I don't know. Okay, other screw here. Got these two screws here, like just exactly like the other one. Okay, now that we got all those screws out, you want to be careful because we did remove everything now, so the motherboard might just fall out. And close the screen carefully. I'm holding the bottom of the motherboard, flipping it over. Okay, and then this cable's still attached, so we are going to have to pull that cable out, of course. So let's slowly lift this up with the heatsink, of course. Oh, actually, we can take out the fan first, so I'm going to grab the fan connector and see about removing that. Okay, just like this. Just wiggle it. There we go. Pops out like that. Okay, so now we got the fan connector out. We should be able to remove the fan first if we want. It's a little tricky with this stuff. Let's see here. Kind of have to wobble it around. Go. Alright. So the fan connector is still a little bit connected in there, which is making it stay in place. There we go. Alright, now we got that, and here you go. We got the fan out. I'm going to clean this up. I cleaned out most of the dust already on it, but we're going to have to like add that mold cleaning stuff. Alright, so let's lift this up. Pull this back. Okay. You want to be careful. There's all these cables in the way. The adhesive is kind of sticking to the board, so make sure you hold those out of the way. Slowly lift the main board up and out. Okay, and this is just like the other one. Alright, so I'm going to clean all of this up, and then I'll be back. It's nowhere near as bad as the other one. Most of the dust is like very minimal, but I'm going to add that mold stuff that the customer wanted me to put, clean it up, and we should be good to go. I'll put it back together. Alright, I'm going to do that, and I'll be back. Okay, so I'm back, and we're going to basically reassemble this. So cleaned it all up, got all the dust off, wiped off the fan ventilation area with the anti-mold stuff or mold cleaning stuff. Okay, so now we're going to put everything back just like before. You want to make sure, be careful, because all these cables, you want to make sure they end up back on top. Okay, we're going to put this side in first at an angle like this. Okay, and then you're going to want to use, what did I do with my, oh, I'm going to do it with the tweezer so it'll be a little bit easier. And then you'll want to make sure to pull all these connectors and everything out. Okay, make sure everything stays on top. Slowly lowering it down. It's actually harder to do with tweezers. Okay. Make sure all these cables stay out of the way. Make sure all these cables end up back on top. Okay, power button cable as well. Okay. Cable. All right, let's see. We've got all those cables on top. That's good. All right, we got to get this cable back in. There we go. Make sure that's all the way in. Flip that latch back down. Perfect. All right, check everything else. Everything looks good. We're going to reconnect all these things. CMOS battery cable. They didn't put much slack on this CMOS battery cable, so it's a little bit tricky. Maybe I should just pull some extra slack out. There we go. Okay, sorry, oops, I'm going off the camera. All right, make sure to plug this back in. Come on, go in. There we go. Squeeze the two together. Get the fingerprint button back in, or connector. I don't know why this fingerprint cable is so difficult to put back in, but it is. There we go. Put that latch back down. This half of the trackpad, we'll get that in. There we go. This side of the trackpad, get that cable in. Make sure this one's lined up. There we go. So far, so good. All right. Let's plug back in the speaker cable here. Make sure to get it back through those little guides. Okay. Make sure to rotate the speaker cable straight. All right. Antenna, get it lined up, make sure that it's in place, snap it down. Alright, other antenna, same thing. Line it up, snap it down. Alright. Now we're going to have to put back these screws. Let's put back the power connector first though, or the power button cable. Alright, flip that over. Go, and then make sure this fan is in. Again, this part needs to clear the post, so you have to lift the heatsink up slightly to get it to go over that. Okay, as well as the fan. Put the tweezers away, don't need them anymore. Okay, let's see here. Alright, get that lined up. There we go. Plug this connector back in for the fan. Okay. Squeeze the two together. Okay, so I'm going to put back the motherboard screws first here. First we got the one down here in this corner. And we got this one up here underneath the RAM. Okay, there's a couple I'm going to leave out because that's for the keyboard, so we're going to leave that one out. I'm going to put this one up here. Alright, let's put down the two fan screws. Go. Alright, then we got this one up here. And the other one up here. The other two keyboard screws I'm leaving out for now because I want to connect everything else first. Okay, so this one, let's plug the larger cable in first. Okay, make sure it's connected all the way. And then you can push down the adhesive. Right, then the smaller one, same thing, line it up. Make sure it's lined up before you press on it. You don't want to try and force it down in the wrong position. Alright, push it down, there we go. Alright, just like that. Alright, now we're going to flip this over. Actually, I'm going to put the rest of the stuff, we'll just do the keyboard last. So put the SSD in. Just like this. Probably should have put this bracket first because last time this was in the way, but let's see. If I don't need to take the SSD back out, then I'm going to just put this bracket in. So get the bracket lined up with the port there. Okay. Make sure these little latches hook over the front. Just like that. Alright. Just get those latches in place and then push it over. There we go. Looks like everything's in place. We'll put back all those screws. Okay, make sure you tighten them relatively tight. You don't want these screws coming loose and then rolling around the motherboard. Okay. Okay, that thing works. Okay, last two screws. Alright, let's flip it over, put the keyboard back in, and then put the battery and the keyboard screws in. Okay, flip it over, open it up. Alright, let's put back all these screws that hold from this side. One here. One here. One down here. Up here. all the way up here. Alright, this one here. Okay, wipe this down with the mold, anti-mold stuff. And dry it up. It did say to leave like the residue there and let it dry by itself, but can't really leave it on the computer. It will cause problems. It can corrode it and things like that. So hopefully it's good enough to clean it. Alright. Oops. Alright, make sure these latches are up. And then we're going to reconnect the little track point or whatever that thing's called. Joystick knob thing. Alright, reconnect that. Okay, I'm going to have to use 2 hands for this, or 3. Alright, plug it in. Flip that latch over. There we go. Then the keyboard one. Sorry, my head's probably going to be in the way for this one. Get the connector in. Make sure it's held in all the way. Put that latch down. There we go. Alright. Then you put the bottom of the keyboard in first, of course. Hold the top, the middle up, and then flex it so that the sides go in first. Just like that. And then push the rest of it in place. There we go. And push all the middle of the keyboard down as well. I'm going to use this to kind of clean it off, just in case there's any mold stuff on this. Clean the screen as well. Okay, try it off. Go. Alright, I'm going to throw these paper towels and napkins away. Alright, so we got all of that in. Put back the 2 keyboard screws. One right above this RAM. And then the other one next to the fan. Alright, all that's left is we plug the battery back in. If it's like the other one, it's probably going to turn itself back on. We'll see. It depends on the settings they set. Okay, it doesn't look like this one's turning itself back on, so that's fine. Oh, it is actually. Okay, lift it slightly, the front, so that we can get the bottom in there. Slide the bottom down. Alright, just like that. Now switch back to the T8 screwdriver, and we're going to put back in the T8 screws. Oops, not that. Okay. So you can see it's turning itself back on. Just like the other one. Alright, put back all the screws. And that's all there is to it. So hopefully this video helped you guys. If it did, like and subscribe. Help others find my videos. Thank you for watching. I'm going to put back the rest of the screws and the panel. Let me make sure it's actually turning on like last time. I do see the screen lighting up. Yep. So we are good to go. Oh, that little nub leaves some like marks on the screen. I don't like that. Alright, so it works. So hopefully this video helped you guys. I'm just going to put back on this cover. And yeah. Alright, oh, let me like this a little bit better too. Okay. Alright, now somebody's calling me, of course. Alright, so just snap back in all these clips. Just like that, and put back all the screws. Alright, that's all there is to it. Alright, there you go. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.